I make video. Story one. Am I the villain for wearing perfume at work? Is perfume. What is perfume? Is that like perfume? Or is this person spelling it wrong? Can somebody please tell me in the comments? I mean, I've definitely heard the word perfume, but anyway, throwaway account. I live abroad in a European country, but I'm originally from the Middle East. I meet my family in Dubai every holiday. Last time I went to Dubai, my sister bought me one awesome perfume and I wear it all the time. It's a little bit heavy, but really nice and pleasant. Well, to the story. I went to work for the first time since I came back from Dubai and I used the perfume. I was alone most of the day in my office, but when I came to the common room, one of my coworkers told me, "Wow, you are wearing some new perfume. It's really strong." I didn't think anything of it until later in the day when I came back, sat next to her, and in a few moments, her eyes got all watery and she started to sniff. She left the room again and hasn't returned. Later, she wrote me an email if I could stop wearing the perfume because it's causing her some allergic reaction or something like that, and that it's just too strong. I texted her that I am sorry, but I couldn't. It was a gift from my sister and I really love it. I told her I could try to wear a little bit less of it so it does not smell so heavy for her. Since then, she refused to be in the same room with me, and she is venting in the common room every time I leave. But I think it's better to have strong perfume than be a smelly person. So Reddit, am I the villain for wearing perfume at work? OP, I 100% think that you are definitely the villain. I mean, sure, your perfume is super nice and you love it so much, but it's literally causing one of your coworkers to be sick. And you refuse to wear it. You refuse not to wear it because you think it's better to have strong perfume than to be a smelly person. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I really could be wrong, but I don't think this is the perfume that you have. I don't think it's the only one in existence that is able to make people not be smelly. There are various other deodorants or perfumes or perfumes or whatever that maybe don't smell as strong or aren't as heavy that you could wear. I mean, sure, you like the smell, so nothing's stopping you from wearing it outside of work or like in your free time because you are literally just making your coworkers sick and you don't seem to understand why that is not that's wrong. It's you're inconsiderate, you lack empathy, you lack self-awareness. I don't know. It's weird and I think it's interesting that you don't see it. So, a villain school. You know, I don't think you are like a high tier villain because you just seem unaware. Like, you were definitely being a huge villain, but I'm gonna give you a villain score of 2. Sidekick. A Disney villain sidekick. You are not that bright. The things you do are very bad, but you just I don't know, you don't comprehend. I don't think you can comprehend what you're doing is wrong. It's it's like you live in a bubble where no one else matters except you. I don't. It's like you're an NPC or something. I don't know. It's strange. This is a strange one, and I think it's very interesting that you don't realize why it's wrong. Am I the villain if I uninvited my brother from a family trip after figuring out his secret? I'm a 32-year-old female and my family takes an annual trip. And for years now, we alternate who pays. This year is my year. I dated a guy for 2 years, and let's just say he was incredibly toxic. And I'm in a much better mental state because he's out of my life. My brother, 22-year-old male, is gay and has been in a relationship for 6 months, but hasn't introduced his boyfriend to us. This is odd because we'd met his previous boyfriends. As the weeks and months went by, I started to ask constantly why I couldn't meet his boyfriend. I started to worry if it was some insane age gap between them or something. Yesterday, my brother jokingly took my phone and ran off, so I jokingly took his phone, which he'd left unlocked. I got curious and looked in his pictures. I saw pictures of my ex. I was confused why he'd have pics of my ex smiling. Then it hit me. I thought my ex was straight, so I needed confirmation. I unblocked him on Instagram to see tons of pictures of him and my brother clearly in a relationship. I confronted my brother about it and he said, "I'm sorry. This is why I didn't want to tell you. I didn't intentionally try to date him. He started hanging out with a friend of mine and it went from there. I really care about him and you know he's not, and you know he's hot. Haha. Since I'm paying for the trip, I'm uninviting my brother. Along with him, my family thinks I'm wrong for this. Am I the villain?" OP, no, I do not think you are the villain in this story. I mean, it's really weird and wrong that your brother is dating your ex, and it makes it even worse that your ex was toxic to you and he probably made you very unhappy. You've said you were in a horrible mental state when you were with him and you just recovered when he was out of your life. So for me, I don't understand why you would do that to your sister. I mean, sure, maybe he's not the same toxic person with you, with the brother, like he was with you. But the thing is, he hurt you and you are his sister and he clearly doesn't care about that. I mean, it's I'm not saying that your ex is a good person or anything like that. He was probably a very horrible boyfriend to you, and you said it yourself, he was extremely toxic. And the fact that your brother decides to date him, when your brother must have seen how unhappy you were with him, not care about that, and then decide to date your ex. I mean, the fact that he's hiding it from you shows that he knows it's wrong and he knows it's gross. I mean, I wouldn't, if it was my brother or sister, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't, even if they weren't toxic, I wouldn't date my brother's partner after they broke up, whether it was a bad or a good breakup. You don't do that. It's no. And you can sit here and tell me, oh, soulmate this and soulmate that. No, there are many other people you can date. You don't have to date your brother or sister's ex. That's weird. It's wrong. It's gross. No. So I don't, especially because he was toxic. Even if he wasn't toxic, I think you are well within your right to uninvite him from the trip because your brother clearly doesn't care about you. And why would you want to go on a family trip that you're paying for with somebody who clearly doesn't care about you at all? So yeah, that's my opinion on that. Oh, I forgot about the villain score. So your brother, it's a villain score of 3. He is politician level evil. He is hiding things from you. He is manipulating you. He's calculating. He he understands what he's doing is wrong, but he's doing it anyway because it benefits him, and he doesn't care who it's hurting. So yeah, villain level 3 for sure. Politician. Am I the villain for leaving my son at my boyfriend's house for the week without his dad's permission? Recently, I went on a 5-day girls trip. I contacted my son's dad to ask him if he would have our son, age 7, for the week, even though he mostly has custody on weekends only. I let him know it was okay if he was unable to, as my mom had already offered to watch him. He said he couldn't because of his work schedule, but said he would take Friday, the 4th day of my trip, off work and pick up our son from my mom's Thursday night and keep him until Sunday. The day before my vacation, my mom called to say that she was sick, nothing serious but probably contagious, and asked if I could make other plans for my son. When she called, I was with my boyfriend, who offered to look after my son in place of my mom. My boyfriend and I have a very casual relationship that is arguably closer to a friends with benefits situation. We've been involved for a couple years now, but have been friends for 15 plus years. My son has known this man all his life, has no idea we are in any kind of relationship, and sees him as an uncle figure. He has several of his own kids, including an 8-year-old son that my son is good friends with. He switched around the custody so he could have his son the same week my son would be there. So they kind of had a long sleepover with school in between. LOL. My boyfriend also has an adult daughter that lives with him that was able to help him watch the kids when he was working. I decided not to tell my ex about leaving our son with him because I knew he wouldn't like it, as he has a negative history with the man I'm dating. They go way back and haven't liked each other for probably a decade. I didn't want to go into the effort of finding another babysitter when a perfectly fine one had already offered. I decided to ask for forgiveness rather than permission. On Thursday morning, I told my ex to pick up our son from my boyfriend's and texted him the address. He was beyond angry and was texting and calling me for hours. He tried to act like I left our son in an unsafe environment and said if I had told him my mom had cancelled that he could have figured something. Even my mom is on his side and said I should have let him know beforehand and given him the ability to veto. He had already said he couldn't because of work, and I just would have had to go into finding another sitter at short notice. Edit, we don't have a custody agreement. I mean, I don't know. I think my take will be a little controversial. I mean, I think you were a bit of a villain for hiding that fact about where your son was going to be living while you were away. Um, I think as the father of your son, he has every right to know where exactly your son is at all times. And you said that he would be at your mom's place, and he expected to find his son at your mom's place. And when your mom cancelled, you dropped your son off at your boyfriend's or your friends with benefits place. And you say that he has been in your life for 15 plus years and your son sees him as an uncle. So, okay, sure, your son and your friends with benefits or your boyfriend, they have like an uncle nephew relationship, I guess. So your son is obviously comfortable with him. So I don't think your son was traumatized in any way. So I think for the most part, you're fine in that department. Like you didn't traumatize your son by leaving him with some stranger. So, I think for doing that, you're fine. But you knew for a fact that your husband and your boyfriend have bad blood between them. And you knew your husband would not like having your son staying with him. And I don't know what the bad blood is, what happened there, or I really don't know. And I don't think it matters too much in the situation because, like, if the roles were reversed, if your husband was going on a trip and he sent your son over to um this woman that you despise, that you've hated for 15 plus years, I mean, and he hid it from you. He told you that your son would be living at your mom's place, but you find out that he's been living with your arch enemy this whole time. Even though they have a good relationship, you would still feel like you would still feel kind of betrayed, and I get why your husband is angry. And I mostly I mostly think you're a villain because you lied about where your son was and you didn't tell your husband where he was. Sure, if you were to tell him, he would have vetoed, and your husband has a say in the relationship, has a say in regards to raising your son, not the relationship, sorry. So if your husband really felt strongly about not wanting him there, I mean, I don't know. It's very tricky with custody and stuff, and yeah, I don't know. I think I don't want to go into a lot of depth about that, about the feud and all that, because I don't think that, I don't know. It's very strange, and I don't think you're that big of a villain as a lot of people would think. I just think it sucks that you lied to your husband about where your son was. I think that's reckless, and it's not considerate. Your husband should know where his son is. I mean, your ex-husband, sorry. He should know where your son is at all times. You don't have the right to lie to him about where you're taking your son and all that. That's not right. So I mean, your husband overreact. I mean, I don't know what happened between the two of them, your boyfriend and your husband. I don't know what happened there. So I can't say he overreacted. Maybe he didn't. I really don't know what happened. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have enough information to really give a villain score here because there's a lot of empty holes. There's a lot of plot holes in the story. So yeah, that's my take. And that is it for the video. If you liked it, you can leave a like if you want. And
Smash that like button.
And you can even subscribe. I mean, you don't have to, but I would appreciate it. Okay, thanks, bye.